ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and today we're taking a look at Cosmonautica, a space trading adventure. Now this is a game that I've been playing for the last couple of days now, and actually it's, I quite like it. It's got a certain sense of humour to it. What it is basically a cross between The Sims and, well, a space trading game. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now for some reason, but here we go. So, just a quick open of the options menu. Reasonable options here, but everything seems to be in this one window, which is a bit strange. You have graphics options, and then you scroll down, and then there's your sound options there. And everything's just all in one. And this game does have a bit of problem with interfaces, actually. Its UI is a little bit weird. Alright, so this is the menu. And everything has these buttons, and it sort of scrolls across like that. Kind of like touchscreen or swiping controls, which I don't know if this is a mobile game or not, but it wouldn't look out of place being one, frankly. So, here we go. No, that's not what we want to do. Let's go. Let's open one that I have already been playing on. And we'll see what's what. Alright, so here we are. This is our ship right here, and we're currently docked at a station. Now, all the ships seem to have this sort of cutaway thing going on here. And this is basically how you see your ship most of the time. So this is ours here. This is actually the starting ship. Getting to the next one takes a bit of time, even if you're particularly good at trading, which unfortunately I'm not. So, this is the basic interface here. And I must stress that this game is not in early access. It is not in early access at all. This is a full launched title available on Steam right now. So, the lack of polish that you might see is a little bit worrying, frankly. So, this is the crew right here. I have a crew of 4 right now, and they're actually reasonably higher leveled now, so we can get onto that in a second. So what do we actually do? Well, first things first, we have trading. Now, trading system is fairly simple. There are a bunch of commodities, and each of these little icons denotes whether it's an import or an export, or neither. In some cases, like robots here, they're neither imported or exported at this station. That's because I actually dumped a bunch of robots here, and they're permanently for sale down here. So, anything that's imported has a certain amount of stock. In fact, everything has a certain amount of stock, but anything that's imported, typically it starts to deteriorate over time. So, as they start using them up, then the stock goes down, and then you can sell to them again. So we actually have one here, but I can't sell it because they're fully stocked right now. I can buy from them until they're out of stock, but I wouldn't really want to do that, frankly. So, things that are exported from here, of course, we can buy that at a cheaper price than anywhere else. Pardon me. And that's really it with the trading system. You gotta find places that export something, and a place that imports something, and you sell it, you buy from the export and sell from the import. That's the simplest way it could possibly be. The amount of money you make, of course, depends on where exactly you sell it. Even places that have a high demand for something may buy at a different price to other stations. So that's basically how that works. And you can find out this at a glance by just having a look at the actual station overview, which is here, and it tells you the little traits here. So here we have whatever's illegal here. So there are a bunch of things that are contraband. If you get caught with that, then you get a penalty for it. And there's a little bit of flavor text here. Rubber ducks are for free, and bathing naked is strictly mandatory. Kind of an odd place, this one. There is a bit of sense of humor in this game. It's not a bad one, necessarily. And here are the things, the traits of this station. So this station has a shipyard, so it imports these items here. And of course we can actually see the shipyard is here in the menu over there. And it's also a farming ground and an artist guild, so we can see at a glance what is imported and exported here. It doesn't tell you the exact prices of those things, but at least you know what's being sold there. And you can actually see there's a blue screen over there going on. There's a lot of little jokes here and there. There's even jokes about early access. which I think is more at this game's expense than it is anything else. Alright, so this is a shipyard where you can customize our ship. Everything is fully customizable. Right, so just to give you an idea, the only things here which are fixed are your bridge, or your controls, and the engine room. For the most part, that is pretty much it. Everything else is fully customizable. So we have a shower room here, we have a couple of passenger seats, we have a cargo bay, and of course if you want to carry more cargo, you put more of those in. We have a science room, which is essential if you want to research anything, which I'll get onto later. And we have a bunk for the crew members. Now we have 4 crew members, but we only have 2 beds here. And that's perfectly fine because you can configure their rotations so everybody gets a chance to sleep when they're on the ship. That's okay. Right, so there's a lot of different things here. We've got room for 2, room for 4, and we've got the toilet, which actually is probably not the best item because it doesn't allow them to shower and their hygiene level just gets worse and worse. Because it's a need that they have which you can't clear. Kind of an odd thing to have the basic starting item without, you know, unable to satisfy a particular need. In order to get that, you have to research this one. I found that quite annoying, actually. And of course, there's a vending machine that gives them snacks, and of course that gives them the ability to eat and satisfy their hunger during long trips. They will, of course, replenish all of these needs when they're back at a station, but being able to do it in flight means you spend less time at stations, and so on and so forth. Next thing is weapons. So if you don't want to do trading, you can be a pirate, and you can actually put weapons on your ship. So that's another thing that you can actually do. There's a lot of different items available. So here we have the reload depot, which you put your ammunition into, and these are the various weapons. So we've got torpedo tubes, cannons, and this is a shield generator. So, yeah. And these are the different ships that you can get. So this is the one that we started off with, and it just goes on. So this is a basic trading ship, a bit bigger than this one, but still just a basic trading ship. And then this is a raiding ship, and a bigger cruiser, which you can then use to transport more goods. More trading ships, pirate ships, and so on and so forth. They just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they all seem to have this sort of curious little boxy shape, but they're still sort of reminiscent of actual ships. Like real-life, modern-day ships. Which is kind of an interesting aesthetic choice. I quite like that, actually. Right. Next up, we have the Bulletin Board. So this is where you get your missions. So in order to actually earn credits, you can complete these missions. They all have time limits. And this is the actual 20 cycles. That's the... Based on the solar system, I believe that's the number of times a planet goes around the sun or something like that. That's how many cycles that is. Or maybe it's a day-night cycle, who knows. But these also have penalties, so all of these have penalties for failing them, except maybe these. But these are, you need weapons to do these. But they do seem to pay a decent amount too. So these are supply missions. We have to go and get water and supply it to iPod, which is a station near the sun. And this one is for food, which is basically the same thing. So you get paid this amount per unit. There's a bit of inconsistency actually in the way that they phrased it. Here it says reward per unit, and here it says reward and then per... Yeah. Little things like that, which just seem a bit strange because it's just not consistent. And then this is where we get our crew members from. So we can use a scout to find a particular role that we're looking for, or particular skill, or we can just recruit the guys that are available now. So in this case, we can see he's got the skill for repairer, which if we... Tooltips are not working. I've just noticed that the tooltips have completely stopped working. That's a bit awkward. But there are a bunch of UI issues like that in this game. For example, the portraits sometimes stop working, which is kind of sad. So, basically how we manage our crew is that we need the skills. We need repair, we need pilot, we need cleaner, and we need a scientist. I believe this is our scientist right here. So, having those basic roles, we can run any ship we want. If you want to use weapons, then you need a gunner and all that. So there's all the different skills, and as they level up, they get more skills. So we just open Node, which is our little manager program here. You can actually see these are the crew members, and you can see their morale. They're all at full at the moment. And you can see their skills. So this scientist also has the hacker and repairer, so that she's a backup repairer. There we go, now the tooltips are working again. And here we have shooter, hacker, and cleaner. It's all quite good. And these special perks, so landsman recovers more quickly at stations. This litterbug is kind of a... It's not a perk as much as it is a demerit, really. So this means that rooms get dirtier when they use them, and gamer means if they go to an arcade, they gain more XP and level up faster. So that's the thing. At the moment they're flashing here because they have a need which I can't fulfill. They have a fitness need, but I have no space for a gym or anything like that. Nor have I researched it, so that's going to kind of stay flashing for a while. I don't think it really has any impact on their actual well-being or anything like that. But it seems to go down at stations, so that's the thing. Alright, so we've gone through that. Is there anything else down here? Oh yeah, there's the finances here, some graphs, which is all quite nice. You can actually see that. We can take loans as well if we want to upgrade our ship. I don't think we're going to have enough to actually get a new ship. There is a trade-in, but I don't think it actually... I don't think it actually makes that much difference, if that makes sense, because I think trading in the actual value of the ship isn't high enough, really. So here, it looks like we have enough, but I can't buy the ship. I should have enough, but I guess that's not really possible, so yeah. Not sure how that exactly works. Anyway, so let's get on with it. There is an overall story as well, so we can actually see there are story missions here. So we need to go to Plemplem and meet somebody, and that's an actual story mission, and we'll get the sealed container thing. But yes, there is an actual story, and it's told all through text dialogues. Alright, so let's do a quick trade, and I'll show you how the actual thing works. Right, so let's buy some books, because it's exported here. Oh, we could actually go for some fine arts as well. Let's get that. Not enough cargo space. Oh, we're full. Alright. I've got 9 books in our inventory. Ah, okay. Okay, so this is the map. And you can see the red area is the area that hasn't been researched yet. So we don't have access to that yet. And I believe the system that we're supposed to go through for the story is one of these out here. So they're not actually available yet. Okay, so let's look for a place that is importing this sort of stuff. Fine art and books don't tend to be imported really anywhere that I have unlocked yet, which is kind of a shame. We might be able to get away with just dropping them off somewhere. Possibly. Alright, so how space travel actually works in this game. Wouldn't be able to explain how exactly space travel works entirely, but in this game anyway. You can see this path here follows the actual rotation of the planets. So if I was to go here, it would actually mark an intercept point where we'd actually meet the planet. So if I were to go here, it's not exactly where the planet is, and all of these move at different speeds. So it'll calculate for you how long that would take. So here it's 4.1 cycles, and then here it's 2.9. To High Nuba it's 2.7, but then if I want to go to Cataport, it's 5.7 because we'd have to follow the entire rotation here until it actually reaches here again. Because it's actually going to accelerate around the planet like that. I'm not sure why we can't just go this way, but I guess that's not really possible for some reason. So you got to plan your trips according to that sort of time frame. So I think in this case we could go to Microboto, or Microboto, and travel. And then we get this side view of our ship that we can move around. And then, of course, now we can see the whole ship. If we want to. It's kind of a funny looking ship. And then we zoom back in and it goes to the cutaway. So here the crew are now doing their thing. Now the passenger seats are of course empty because we have no passengers. But passengers, as far as I can tell, are mostly only through missions. I haven't really picked them up any other way. Yeah, besides random events and actual missions. Which is a bit of a shame. So here we can see where the sort of Sims element is, because we've got these needs, they have their little speech bubbles and emotes, and they have relationships with each other as well. So each crew member, as I might have seen earlier, has particular preferences, and the more preferences they have in common, the better they'll get along. If they have opposing preferences, like this, I believe, loves chlorophyll-based food, so plants. They're all vegetarians, or at least they all like their vegetables. So that's the crew, and the more things they have in common, the more likely they are to get along. If they don't like each other, they'll affect each other's morale. And when it goes down, they'll work less efficiently, and so on and so forth. There isn't really a huge penalty, from what I've seen, for having low morale, other than it just being inefficient and stuff going wrong more often. So if we click one of these rooms, you can see cleanliness and condition here. So when any room goes down, it will of course be need to be repaired. And of course when it's unclean, then it'll need to be cleaned back up. So of course things for passengers, you'll probably want to have those rooms there. So we can actually restrict areas as well. For example, the cargo bay, I don't want passengers going in there, so no passengers allowed inside. Same with the science lab, and same with the engine room, and of course the bridge as well. I will allow them to go to the bathroom and go to the snack machine, but that's about it. So we can even zoom in quite far and see. The animation quality is alright, it seems to be fairly decent. But in some cases, it does bug out a little bit. You can see they both just attempted to use the shower at the same time, now he has to stand there and wait. It is a bit creepy, the fact that this alien's always smiling, even when he's unhappy. I had one very similar to him who was sick to the point of dying and he was still smiling. It's actually quite creepy, but there you go, this game has that sort of sense of humour. Right, so now it's just a matter of waiting for it to tick down, or we can fast forward until we actually get there. And on the way, random events could happen. You could get intercepted, you could get, be attacked. Your crew members, for example here, it says on fire. She's not literally on fire, but she's at a maximum morale to the point where she's actually working far more efficiently. At the same time, they can also get sick, and normally you need a med bay to clear up sickness, but sometimes it'll clear up on its own. You've got a chance of that happening, or they might just die. But the problem is, in fast forward, it doesn't stop. Here's the thing, it doesn't stop fast forwarding even when events pop up. So I've had messages pop up that disappeared completely when that happened, and I don't know if that's supposed to happen or whether that's a bug, but it is quite a big problem if one of your crew members happens to die and you don't know that happened because you were fast forwarding. Now time thankfully passes a lot slower in stations. You can also fast forward it if you want to, for any reason. For example, if you want their needs to go down and all that, or for them to recover, then you could fast forward it and just wait at the station. Right, so let's sell some of this. So we pull the sliders all the way across, and we can't sell our art here. That is kind of annoying. And let's sell the paper as well, why not? So we've got some money back. We still can't sell the art here. Kind of wish we could. And we can actually have a look at some of the things here. So we've got smuggle, and we've got fighting missions, which I'm not equipped to do. Yeah. So that's a bit of a shame. Let's have a look at what they're exporting here. But that's really the entire game, and I like the style of the game, right? And I like the overall aesthetic. I like the humor in it, even if it's a little bit on the nose. And the simplicity of the actual trading makes it a sort of very relaxed game to play. The problem is the game just lacks so much polish for me to completely recommend it. Let's just have a look at something else we could probably go to. We could go over to High Nuba, I think. No, don't want to go back there again. Frolic? Let's go to Frolic. Right, so this is a random event that happened at the station, and apparently one of the crew members, our pilot, got into a fight, and I think he's going to be out of action for a while. So he needs to recover. You can see in the background here, again, something that's really hard to see. This is their actual energy level, or their condition, so let's just pause that for a moment. You can see here, the energy level, or the condition level of this particular crew member is actually not at 100%. There doesn't appear to be any other way to see it other than that. That's a problem, because this is something that's very easy to miss. You know, that's not something that's very clear. That's their energy level there. You can see it here as well. That's probably much clearer, but if you haven't clicked on them, you wouldn't notice that, obviously. I mean, to some people it might be obvious, but to me, I think it's not clear enough. At the bottom here, this is their actual shift, so we can actually control their shift rotation. By going to tasks over here. And we can actually shift stuff around, so if I want him to do piloting here instead, I can shift that around, and that takes effect immediately. So we could have them working all the time, which of course is not exactly the best idea. Or we could just move stuff around and have them switch roles, or just do the same roles all the way. And of course when you go into battle, then you choose which station you want them to be assigned to. So in this case, you could have them do battle related stuff, or you could have them just do their associated roles. Cleaning during a battle is probably not the smartest idea. But yes, so that's basically it. That is just the whole game, and I don't mind that so much. I like that this ship's name is actually on the side. I named this ship myself. It's a very simple game, and I personally enjoy it, but I think it could do with a lot more polish. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Panzer taking a look at Subnautica. It's now available on Steam. Go and check it out if you like what you see here, but bear in mind that the game does have quite a number of bugs, mostly to do with the interface. I haven't found anything that's particularly game-breaking, but it does at least break the aesthetic, which is annoying enough for me. But if you can deal with that, then you might not mind it so much. And I think it'd definitely be worth it if you're into this sort of game. This sort of crossover between Space Trader and The Sims, essentially. But yes, go check it out. And that's all from me this time around. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Panzer, and I'll see you next time.